Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of The Paige Show. I think you will be entertained and get a good laugh from this one. Even if you're laughing at me, I don't care. Just laugh because we need more of that. But random thought here again, as almost all of my episodes begin with. I want to talk about when fear starts to shift. I will use a great example of how I see that in my life, and that will tie in at the very end to all of this making sense, that Spirit uses what will speak to us most to show us our next step or lesson or the next place we need to go. And so this is a perfect one coming off of my favorite holiday of Halloween. People laugh at me. They come in my house and they say, it's not Halloween. Why do you still have your witch's hat out? Well, they only say it about once, because once they get to know me, they're expecting that that's not just Halloween. That's kind of my all year round decor. We're moving into our new place currently, and my other half opened up a box to figure out if we're storing this or purging it or what, and he's like, I thought we already got all of our Halloween decorations out. And then he started to dig more, and he's like, oh no, that's just our normal decor. So I had that moment of laughter, like, oh, he finally gets me. 9 years in, and he's not even debating it, he just knows. So that was really funny, but it led to the topic of Spirit getting your attention with something. At the end of Halloween season, I can talk about the spider most of all, because I'm not afraid of a lot of creatures, but spiders are not my thing. And so for me to love all of my witchy things, my witchy decor and hats and Halloween, spiders are always a theme for that, because they're kind of, freaky for most people. And of course, Spirit would use my new house, my new location, and my favorite season to teach me where I need to go next, or what I need to look for as development in myself next. So I do a lot of shamanic work. It's really where I started my journey of self-development. I love it. I love all creatures. I like having experiences daily where I see a new bug or a bird or a random dragonfly where it shouldn't be. And a lot of the animals I might know the symbolism of, but I love being able to look at it and say, okay, I'm gonna Google what the spiritual meaning of this particular creature is, because I know it could be a message. And so my shamanic work has really tied me into wanting to look at those things, but also just noticing them. So when something shifts for that with me, I definitely notice it. So you can imagine having a huge fear of spiders. It's not a spirit animal that I chose or would ever want for myself. It's not one I went exploring. That is for sure. But here we are. We have moved to the southern east coast of the United States, where enough said, there are bugs, therefore there are spiders, and spiders of all kinds, and often the really scary ones. So it brought me back to my childhood, where being on my grandparents' farm, I was always outside, and the times that my brother would interact with me always ended up being times of torture, as most big brothers do. And he would grab what we call Granddaddy long legs down here by the leg and chase me around the yard until, he finally got a really good scolding. Probably the only spanking I remember my grandpa ever giving him was over really scaring me with that. And so I don't know if that's where it began for me. I really don't care too much about where it began. I just know if that came to my mind, that's probably something that fueled it. And so I don't spend a lot of time on that. I just move forward of, okay, so that's that. It's here. Now what do we do with it? Well, I've managed to go almost 40 years without a lot of push from Spirit to address this so-called phobia or dislike for this creature. And then I moved to the southern part of the eastern U.S., and here we are. There are a lot of them. So I have always invested in pest control. It's the first time in my life, literally, this was my first sign, that I moved into a home and did not have pest control scheduled the same day or the next day to come out. I found myself about a month ago buying an essential oil-based pest killer. Yes, start laughing now, it gets better. I brought that home and everyone looked at me like, all right, Mom's gone crazy. She bought her own spray. Nobody has been here yet. No contracts have been signed. And she's spraying with essential oils. All right, that's your first clue. And then it gets better, closer to Halloween. Maybe it was actually the night before Halloween. We celebrate Halloween Eve like Christmas Eve here in my house. I go out to the garage and turn on the switch to find a whole army of baby spiders crawling over my hand, like a scene from a scary movie. And I dusted them off and was very proud of myself because I did not burn my house down. So I come inside, I tell my whole crew that just happened, and everyone's mouth drops. They're like, Mom's not crying, she's not having a panic attack, and the house is not being burned down. So there's your next clue. But as all of us are, I too can be very slow to catch on sometimes. So my third, everything comes in threes, I feel like, awareness of, okay, Spirit, I hear you. Now I'm going to pay attention to this, was, again, walking out to the garage where our refrigerator exists right now. I did not turn on a light. I had night lights at that point in the garage for me. And I opened the fridge door to find that I had stepped on the ultimate spider of fear for me, a granddaddy longleg. And I saw it there. I'm getting goosebumps as I talk about it. Its little legs wiggling. I literally watched it die. There's your death topic that I said we would hit on a lot. And my heart sank. I wasn't running away in fear. I felt this feeling inside of a crazy woman that, oh my gosh, that is a creature. Like, these creatures were here millions of years before us. They, have a job. They, they have a cool energy about them, I'm sure, if I would stop and look it up, because it came to me like every other thing. I mean, for years, I have been developing, especially before Africa. Before I went to Africa, I worked a lot on pushing through the fear of spiders because I knew that was going to happen. When I came back from Africa, I didn't notice a whole lot of change because I had gotten frightened to death there with them. So I came back probably more traumatized, honestly. But then that made me want to conquer it, because that's what I do. I don't like to have anything keep me from doing other things. And when I came back from Africa, I just was checking all my shoes. And, I really started to feel a little OCD. And I said, no, this is not happening. We're not going down this path. But, that was in 2017. So it really shows you how spirit will work with you for years before you realize what they've been doing. The creative energies have a way of just kind of sneaking in until that divine timing is right. And they're like, all right, now it's time. You can't ignore it anymore. So bring it to now, right now, the comical time of my Halloween season, that they bring this to my attention. And so as I realized I had stepped on this, which literally my fear of spiders has not allowed me to get close enough to even kill them. It was covering them in a bowl until somebody else could get to them, or hairspraying them to death so that they would, just even saying that right now makes me feel gross about myself. So I stepped on this one and didn't realize it. So that was part of what helped. But yeah, I felt really bad about it. And then after that happened, for a few days after me talking about that, I started to notice, more coming in my house. And for years, since 2017 with my Africa experience, I tried to make a deal with spiders. I said, look, if you stay outside, I leave you alone. I'm not going to come find you and kill you. But if you come in my space and try to surprise me, you're dead. Like, somebody's killing you. I can't because I'm scared, but somebody's doing it. And so I worked for years with that. And so then a few days after this experience in the garage, I would see a tiny spider on the wall in my home, and I realized I could just walk by it. It didn't affect me. It's like, yeah, just stay there. Don't come in my bed. We're fine, whatever. So my boundaries were starting to get a lot less clear. And I could see that I didn't feel like I had to be able to kill everything before I could sleep at night, because yes, up until right now, as small as it was, I could barely see it. In my mind, it was huge. And if it got out of my sight, it was going to surprise me somewhere else I didn't want it to be. So hopefully all of you can understand everything I'm talking about. If it's not spiders, it's something else for you that does that. So I started to notice that I was leaving them alone, depending on the situation in my house too. And then there were a few that creeped up that were not acceptable. Also scared my daughter, and I was able to kill it. So again, pushed through the barrier of fear and was able to kill one or two. And again, felt that same burden of feeling bad. And so finally, I looked myself in the mirror about 3 days after this happened. And I said, okay, Spirit, what are you trying to show me? What do I need to know about this? And I said, I'm going to finally give in on my stubbornness on this one, because I've been holding this against them for years. I mean, decades, since a childhood. I'm like, nope, not doing it. Don't ask me. Not going to be bonding with those things. Well, I did. I finally looked it up and I said, okay, we're going to read about this. I'm going to be brave. And the first thing I pull up actually has like the cutest picture of a spider. Like all these other ones are really creepy, so I always wouldn't Google it because I knew they were going to have like the worst spider ever to show you on the front page. But this one had really cute little eyes. And yes, I sound crazy to myself out loud saying this, but I look it up and I'm realizing, the meaning of the spider, spiritual symbolism of it, really is about manifestation and having patience and bringing in feminine power, that ancient wisdom, having balance and being interconnected, literally everything I talk about on a daily basis. And the ancient wisdom is really huge. That one stood out to me because as I looked myself in the mirror that day, granted, I have been moving and unpacking. There has been days I realized, oh man, girlfriend, you need to shave. Like deodorant stopped working halfway through the day. Like it's hot, it's humid, everything's different. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I felt like a hot mess. And I looked at myself, had not, dyed my roots in a few days, all of the things. And I saw this crone woman, like an old crone, through my eyes. I was looking deep into my soul, and I'm getting emotional talking about it. And I'm not going to edit this because we're real, right? But I saw her. I saw that ancient crone, that woman that I will be turning into, the woman that's been there for many lifetimes before, that ancient wise woman. I saw her through my hair being wavy and humidity making it look crazy, and me having my silvers start to show through, and I didn't have on any makeup, and I was really the most rawest form of myself. As I'm asking in the mirror, what are you trying to show me about this spider? And then the energy of the spider just really goes with that same ancient wisdom. And I really had a moment of gratitude again, that they will speak to us in the way that we hear them, whether it's through fear, something that has driven fear for me for decades of my existence. They finally said, enough is enough. You may not like them, but you're going to get to a place of acceptance or neutrality with this and understand what this, like all the other creatures that you can honor and recognize a role of in life, that they also have one, and you're going to finally look at that. We're going to force you to face that in the mirror, literally. It's just such a beautiful story now that I'm hearing it out loud. And so I went down the rabbit hole. I've known for years, and I've used it comically, that, spiders live on every continent except Antarctica, and that if things got really bad, I'm going down there with the penguins. Like, literally hated them that bad. So that's like the next line that I read, and I'm like, yeah, I know that. But the more that I really dug into this, and I'm still going down the rabbit hole of spiders and the different meanings of them based on their colors and their regions, like you really, really can go down deep, deep mind maps when you have a download. I encourage you to do that. Don't just read it and be done. Really see where it goes with it. It really touched on everything that I've been working on with clients on lately, particular topics, and really things that I've been aware of currently in my life. The manifestation, having a switch on the idea of manifestation, that it's all right there. We don't have to do anything to manifest it. We just simply have to ask. We simply have to receive. We simply have to acknowledge that the possibility is there. But hugely patient. Something I've dealt with, struggled with my whole life is patience. I am not a patient person. I'll tell you that right now. I don't even pretend to be. It's my a trait that I wish I had, especially as a mom. It would help me on some days, but I just don't. I'm not great with that right now. And so I look at that and I'm like, the spider has literally, the medicine of the spider, the energy of the spider literally has been something that has either guided me, helped me, or could have helped me throughout my life up until this point, something that I feared the most. And I hope you hear in my words, that is really where we're all at. Some of the things that we fear the most are the